The fate of the United States presidency hangs in a delicate balance. Republican nominee Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton are spending their final week campaigning before Election Day. Joining us today is the chairman of Republicans Overseas Israel, Marc Zell, and a lecturer on public policy from Haifa University, Hezi Kugler, who will help us take another look into the two opposing candidates. Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Great to be here.
So to begin, the polls still show that Clinton is ahead, but with recent events, that seems to be shifting. How do you think Hillary will hold up from now until the election?
So I think that Hillary is holding up very well. She's proven throughout the campaign season, even as far back as in the primary season, that she knows how to hold up under pressure. She's almost unflappable. She's had so much directed at her that you would expect her, actually, to a certain extent, to act a little bit more like Trump. But it's very difficult to get under her skin. In a word, I would say that Hillary Clinton is presidential. And I think that we'll see that from now through Election Day. Doesn't matter what's going to be fired off at her. She will deal with things in a substantive manner, give direct answers to what's arising, but continue to be honed in on the target. And I believe that the results will be in appropriate fashion.
Now, Trump is making the most out of the FBI reopening Hillary Clinton's email investigation. How is Hillary addressing these allegations? And, in your opinion, Marc, what do you think is the worst case scenario to come out of this?
For whom?
For
Hillary. Yeah, I think she's going to lose. I mean, that's probably the worst case, and she may end up going to jail. I mean, the revelations in the past few days are really nothing short of shocking. I mean, these emails about which have still not all come out. I mean, tomorrow I understand WikiLeaks is going to be releasing its first tranche of the 33,000 emails that Hillary thought she had wiped out and bleached out, but that's not the case. They have them. The FBI has them, I understand, and I think she's going to be real big trouble after that comes out, from what we understand from Julian Assange. I think she's. I think for Hillary, we're in a kind of a lose-lose situation, because even if she actually wins on November 8th, her presidency is going to be tainted from the very beginning with these black clouds of criminal prosecution. And I don't think we will have seen anything like this in American history. And so again, even if it wins, she loses. And if she loses, well, then she's going to have to do her best to keep herself out of jail.
Yeah, now speaking about allegations like this, Trump isn't exactly free of scandals either, as we all know. There are more and more women coming out against him, and practically every minority demographic is polling democratically. Has he stopped the Republican base from leaving him? Okay,
well, you've asked a rather complicated question there. First of all, the kind of accusations against Trump, the sexual improprieties, which the last bunch of which he's denied absolutely, really don't even compare to the gravity of the charges against Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party here, and her immediate staff, Huma Abedin and so on. And I think that the public has basically been saturated with this kind of attack. It's a last-minute attack. It's a panic attack by the Democrats. The other thing you mentioned...
But, I mean, the comments that have come out about him towards women are still something.
No, but you're talking about statements that were made 10, 11 years ago.
When he was 59.
Yeah, but the public understands, okay? First of all, he's apologized for that. He acknowledged it, something Hillary is incapable of doing. He acknowledged it. He apologized for it more than once, twice, 3 times. What's that?
Just, boys talk in the locker room.
He apologized unequivocally, and I'm telling you, you guys are beating a dead horse here. Right. The public is not focused on this. This election is not about how Donald Trump thinks about or thought about women 11 years ago. It's about the ability to lead the country, the fundamental ability to incur and to be commander-in-chief, to be able to I don't know if you've heard, but Hillary has now been denied access to security briefings.
If
now,
he would have been, if he would have done these sort of things in Israel, he would have been forced out of the race for president in the Knesset.
You're going
Just
off,
the accusation
you're going
of
off on a
sexual
tangent,
molestation.
Hezi, you're going off on a tangent.
Your comparison-
Donald Trump is secure, has cleared for security briefings. Your candidate is not. And the reason that she's not is because of these gross violations of federal law, how she's handled these emails, how she's handled the private server, and she may, and in fact, the latest I heard, she may be in violation of the Espionage
So where
Act.
did you hear that from? Also from WikiLeaks? I understood beforehand that you guys are in coordination with WikiLeaks. You guys
Well,
know.
we're in coordination with
you said that.
WikiLeaks.
You understand that tomorrow WikiLeaks will be.
WikiLeaks,
Listen,
apparently
okay,
you
well,
don't
you're
do your
talking about-
homework,
you're
Hezi.
talking about-
Hezi, you
let's
don't
give
do your
Hezi a
homework
chance to
because
respond to-
all of this is on the internet, and apparently you
So-
haven't seen the
Let's give Hezi a
advanced
chance to
promos for
respond
it.
to
You
this.
know, when we
and-
talk about fears of criminal prosecution post-election, let's hope really that that doesn't happen to a newly elected president. But when you want to compare,
There's only one that's in that
and I
trouble.
really, no, not really.
Donald
actually,
Trump
Mark.
is not in that
Well, not really,
situation.
Mark. To tell you the truth, when you look at this so-called email issue, and I can understand why you guys are ecstatic these days.
We're not ecstatic.
You know,
We're-
you guys will grasp
we-
at any straw that will help you keep your
We
nose just
are-
above water. Hold on a second.
We are
hold on a
devastated
second. Hold
by
on.
this.
I'm sure.
It's a black mark in our country.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Okay. So
So
you're talking here about
this
one
is the
issue.
FBI,
You're talking about one issue
Hezi,
that
it's
has
the
been.
FBI. It's not us.
You're talking about one issue that has been thoroughly investigated already,
Which?
and on the emails, and
are
on
you
which
talking about?
on which the FBI made a very clear statement a few months ago that there are no criminal
You're
aspects
living in the
today.
past.
Now, there's no determination to say there's anything criminal. On the other hand,
They've reopened the
post-election,
investigation.
imagine that there will be a President-elect Trump on November 9th, and any
Baruch
one of
Hashem.
these, at least 12 women, at least, will then enter a actual formal complaint having been molested. And this isn't just locker room talk. On the allegations they have already put forward. Police will then have to investigate the fellow. What are we going to do then? Are we then going to have to go to the Congress, request to have him impeached? What will the Republicans do then? Will they support impeachment of somebody who is now under criminal investigation
All right,
for
Hezi,
sexually molesting
you are
women?
so-
You've got to
you
be
are
now.
so
Let me
out
tell you
of
something.
touch
Now
with reality. You've ignored the last
Now you've seen
2 weeks
now
of
you've seen,
political
no,
developments.
I'm actually very up to speed on this. Now you have seen. I was asked the question just at the outset. I thought that this was really the key to this whole thing. Look at how under pressure Hillary Clinton has handled this issue over the last couple of days.
She's lied and she's avoided the press.
Imagine that something would come up now, much less momentous, with respect to Donald Trump as we have seen. For
here we
example,
go. Here we go.
imagine that we'll hear another contestant in another Miss Universe contest
Well,
that's been molested by Mr. Trump.
This is
3 o'clock in the morning, we'll have another tweet.
The world
2
is now
o'clock in the morning,
hanging
we'll have
on
another.
Miss
We'll have
Universe.
another.
Come
No,
on.
what we're talking about.
All right,
what we're
guys. Well,
talking about
let's
is
let's
the
talk
control
about
of this
Let's
interview.
talk
to-
He
let's
is
talk
so
about-
into these
We're talking
talking
about the
points
person
that
who
he
is
is
All right, guys.
completely off reality.
Guys, let's talk about Israel now, okay? Because
Yeah,
this
let's
is what
try to talk
everybody
about
over
something
here
serious for a change.
is focusing on. The American Israeli voters are concerned about what is going to happen to Israel's relationship with the United States when somebody is elected. Now, last week, Donald Trump and Mike Pence did come. They addressed a pro-Trump Jerusalem rally.
By video.
By video, right.
Yeah,
And-
we organized that, Republicans Overseas.
Right, but we haven't seen the same, kind of work coming from the Hillary Clinton campaign. She hasn't been as involved in trying to promote, Israeli American voters. Why is that?
Well, first of all,
Are you a Democrat? Democrats abroad?
I'm supportive of the Democratic candidate.
Are you a member of the Democrats abroad?
Can I respond to the question I was asked first?
I'd like to know
No,
what your
but just,
standing is to
but
answer that
just
question.
As somebody who is in support of Hillary Clinton,
Right.
how does that feel, from that perspective?
So first of all, we know that first of all, the U.S. Jewish community is overwhelmingly in support of Hillary Clinton. We also know that the overwhelming majority of Israelis are in support of Hillary Clinton, and we believe that it is quite obvious that most Americans in Israel who will vote for Hillary Clinton on the basis of polls and trends that have been followed will also be supportive of Hillary Clinton. There's been a great effort by the Clinton campaign through volunteers in Israel to get Americans living in Israel registered to vote. First of all, on the assumption that it's good for everybody to vote, forgetting about who they're going to vote for, but also on the assumption that most of those people actually will cast their votes for Hillary Clinton.
Marc,
And we believe that, and the campaign I do know believes that that is the most effective way to proceed.
No, Marc, what I want to ask you is...
Wait, Natasha.
Yeah.
Okay, this is complete spin. Hezi was a professor at Haifa. I'm sure he's great in his field, but he knows nothing about what he's talking about. There is no Democrats abroad organization functioning here in Israel at the moment. The voter registration effort that's been conducted here has been conducted primarily by outside groups, including particularly George Soros's Avaz group. The Democrat, and we followed them around all over the country. And this idea that the American Israeli voter is supporting Hillary Clinton is completely out of touch.
Well, we'll see on November 8th.
No, we're not going to see. We know now.
That's what we think.
I'm sorry, Hezi, you don't know what you're talking about because you don't work in the field. That's what we do.
Right,
you're not in the field.
Let's be fair here. For somebody, just if you're talking about Israeli Democrats, Hillary Clinton supporter that's here, how does it feel as a voter, as somebody who would be voting for her, to not see that presence here? That's what I'm really focusing on. And what I want to ask you, Marc, actually, is do you think...
You can't ask me that because 80% of the voters here are voting Republican. They're not voting...
you had the results in advance.
We don't have the results. We talk to them. We listen to them. They're calling us. We're registering them by the thousands. That's something that the Democrats...
That's not true. The volunteer campaign actually is doing that for a fact.
I do know. You don't know.
Okay, so
you are not associated with it.
How do you know what I know?
Because I know there's no Democrats abroad organization
there
here.
Is
it's being run from Hungary.
Campaign,
okay, and Dubai.
All right, let's just talk about the issue itself. What can we expect from both candidates when it comes to Israeli policy? What can we expect if they're elected to happen with Israel?
I'll let Hezi answer, then I'll finish.
Okay.
And I'll follow up.
Just make sure you're accurate there, Marc.
I believe me, I'm the only one here that's been today.
Well, let's look at both of the candidates. First of all, with respect to Hillary Clinton, she has a record. She has a record as a senator from New York. She was highly supportive of aid to Israel. I'm not just talking about aid, but I'm talking also about strategic cooperation with Israel, something that she is quite familiar with. As a Secretary of State, she also was enormously supportive of policies that are for the good of Israel. It's not to say that sometimes there are always issues between the U.S. government, no matter who is actually the president, and the Israeli government, over which there are sometimes disagreements. But the proof of the pudding is, what president do we see will actually take actions that are coercive of Israel, and contrary to what Israeli policy is? Secretary of State Clinton was opposed to taking any of those sorts of actions, and she blocked them as well. So we can see already that we know that when she follows a policy as president, it will be in a cooperative spirit, geared towards shoring up the security of the state of Israel. And I have to say that we will also know that we will be dealing with a president who we can trust and who we can, on whose statements we will be able to rely and believe in. In contrast, a so-called President Trump, in my view, may say something positive tomorrow. Who knows what he's going to say 3 days from now? So, what will happen if a President Trump inevitably disagrees, or God forbid, somebody here would disagree with him? Will we all of a sudden have a reassessment of aid to Israel because they, sorry for my language, pissed him off that day? This is the way
Marc,
he
is.
what is your response to that?
Well,
you just don't want to get under the skin of Trump. That's his problem.
No, I'm sorry,
that'll be our problem all over the world if he's in office.
These are all talking points from the Hillary Clinton campaign. Let's just look at the reality.
Trust
Hillary. This guy here today, his professor, says trust Hillary in light of what we just seen in the past few days. The American people knows a lot better than that, and 70% said they don't trust Hillary. So don't give me trust Hillary. But on Israel, the idea that as Secretary of State that she was supportive on Israel. I mean, the one. Excuse me, Hezi, I didn't interrupt you. I think the most important test of this, litmus test, are two things. Take a look at the most dangerous agreement ever entered into between two powers concerning Israel. That's the Iran agreement. That's an existential threat to the state of Israel. Everybody in Israel understands that. The government understands that. They understand that within less than 10 years, even assuming the Iranians abide by what they signed up to, and they are not, Israel will be under the nuclear threat, a real nuclear threat. And not only that, the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton have crowned Iran as the hegemon of the Middle East. That's the first thing. And the second thing, just remember how Hillary Clinton acted as Secretary of State when word came from Jerusalem that the planning committee had authorized building in Ramat Shlomo, a neighborhood in Jerusalem, in Har Homa, a neighborhood in Jerusalem. She picked up the phone and harangued the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, for 40 minutes each time, blasting him for having dared to build homes or having thought about building homes in the future in Jerusalem. That's Hillary Clinton. The Hillary Clinton that gave us the Middle East that which we're suffering from now, Syria. The Arab Spring, which is a disaster. Under her watch, in Egypt, in Tunisia, in Libya, a disaster. Turkey, a disaster. Iraq, a disaster. Afghanistan, a disaster. Yemen, a disaster. One disaster, and that's just the Middle East. I could go to talk about Russia and China, the South China Sea, and half the world. This is Hillary's record. And I think we need to understand, not only can't she be trusted, but she just has bad judgment.
All right, Mark. Well, we're going to have to, unfortunately, cut off our discussion today, and I guess we're just going to have to wait to see what happens on November 8th. Hopefully, we'll have you guys back soon, and
Be a pleasure.
we'll see what takes place.
Make sure you're here.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic.